Hello, friends. Today we will discuss a very important judgment from the Andhra Pradesh High Court in the case of JPR projects versus the state of Andhra Pradesh 2025. This case explains how best judgment assessment under Section 62 of the CGST Act works and what happens when a taxpayer later files his returns. Background of the case. The petitioner here is JPR Project, a registered partnership firm in Visakhapatnam. The GST department passed a best judgment order on 7th February 2024 under Section 62 of the CGST Act. Why? Because the firm had not filed its GST returns for that period. Based on this order, department raised a tax demand and even recovered about 12 lakh 92,000 from the firm's electronic credit ledger. So the company came to High Court saying this recovery is illegal. In the High Court, petitioners' arguments were they said, quote, yes, we had delayed, but we later filed the GST returns for that period. We also paid the tax and the late fee as required. Under Section 62, Subsection 2 of the CGST Act, once a taxpayer files valid returns within the prescribed time and pays the dues, then the earlier best judgment assessment order is deemed to be withdrawn automatically. The company or the firm said this in the High Court. That means the demand order dated 7th February 2024 should no longer exist in the eyes of law. So the company argued since the order is deemed withdrawn, the department cannot recover tax, interest, or penalty from us. Now the argument of department or respondent. Here the respondent is the tax department and it argued as quote the department accepted that the petitioner had indeed filed the required returns and paid the dues. But the department's officer argued the petitioner did not inform us about this filing. So, unless the officer is informed, the assessment order remains in force. In short, their stand was filing returns and paying tax is not enough. They must have intimated the officer. It was said by the respondent in the High Court. Now, what the law says. Now, we are going to analyze what Section 62 actually says or states. As per Section 62, subsection 1, if a registered person fails to file returns even after notice, then the officer can pass a best judgment assessment order based on the available information. As per Section 62, subsection 2, if the person files a valid return within 60 days of the assessment order and pays tax and late fee, then the assessment order is deemed to be withdrawn automatically. But the liability to pay interest or late fee still continues. There is no condition in the act that you must separately inform the officer. Now, court's analysis. The court carefully read section 62, subsection 2. It clearly says once returns are filed and dues are paid, the assessment order is automatically withdrawn. It does not say that you must give a special intimation to the officer. In this case, since JPR project, the partnership firm had filed the returns and paid the dues, the assessment order of 7th February 2024 stood withdrawn by the operation of law. Therefore, the department had no right to continue recovery based on that order. Court's final order. The assessment order dated 7th February 2024 is taken as withdrawn. The recovery of 12 lakh 92,000 from the company's IT ledger is illegal. It means the court said in its judgment that the recovery of 12 lakh 92,000 from the company's ITC ledger is not legal because once the firm had filed the returns, the order of GST department is deemed to have been withdrawn as per the law. The department is directed to recredit this amount back into the petitioner's ledger by reversing the debit entry, the court said. And this must be done within 4 weeks. However, the court also said the department is free to start fresh assessment proceeding in the future if they believe it is required, but only as per law. The writ petition is allowed and no cost imposed. Key takeaways for viewers. Under GST, if you miss filing returns, the department can pass a best judgment assessment order under Section 62. But if you later file the returns within the given time and permitted time and pay dues, then that assessment order is automatically cancelled. The department cannot insist on any additional condition like intimation to it by the petitioner or by the taxpayer. If the department still tries to recover money, you can approach the High Court just like JPR project did. So, friends, this case has given us a lesson that taxpayers have strong protection under GST law. If you file your pending returns and pay dues on time, the best judgment assessment disappears automatically. Department cannot misuse this provision. If you like this discussion on this judgment, please subscribe and like my channel. And if you have any query or you want to know about any judgment or about anything under taxation, you can comment in the comment box. Thank you.